women's cricketers have admitted they're finding it difficult to focus on the match on Friday after hearing about the devastation caused by the earthquake. Their captain admitted his squad felt helpless and weren't able to take stock of the situation back home.
Yeah, it has been difficult, but I suppose we put it in perspective and say it's nothing to what the people back home in Christchurch and the people all over New Zealand are going through, because it has affected the whole country, and the whole country is hurting immensely, and the team feels exactly the same way.
Tennis and world #1 Caroline Wozniacki is safely through to the Qatar Ladies Open semi-finals. The Dane remained on course for a second straight title after winning in Dubai last week. She was made to work hard in her first set against Flavia Pennetta, but took it 6-2. And the 20-year-old produced a clinical finish, disposing of the 15th ranked Italian 6-love in the second set. Well, she'll now play France's Marion Bartoli, who dispatched qualifier Peng Shuai of China. Bartoli won the first set 6-2. And she closed out the second with ease, winning that 6-2. On the men's tour, Novak Djokovic is through to the semi-finals of the Dubai Championships to keep alive his hopes of a third successive title. The second seed fought off an early challenge from Germany's Florian Mayer. But a change of racket brought a change of fortune as he went on to clinch a 7-5, 6-1 victory and a last four meeting with Thomas Berdych.
Another semi-finals, great result. You know, tomorrow is Berdych, who has a great year and a half behind him already. Very good player, you know, very consistent, top 10 for a while already, so tough one.
Well, Berdych had to fight hard for his victory against Filip Pechner. The Czech dropped his own serve twice and wasted 6 set points before closing out the first set 7-5 and then battled back in the second to finish off his 7-5, 6-4 win. Roger Federer is also through to the semis. The top seed fought back brilliantly after being broken early in the match to beat Sergei Stakhovsky 6-3, 6-4. He'll now face Richard Gasquet. And that's the sport for now.
All right, well, the Space Shuttle Discovery is now on its last mission. The shuttle and 6-member crew blasted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. They were carrying supplies, spare parts, and a robot to the International Space Station.
2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery. A tribute
NASA
to
plans to retire its shuttle program this year after 2 other spaceships make their final flight, and that will happen over the next few months.
Mission Control Houston, the space shuttle now rolling over onto its back for an 87-minute ride into orbit. Discovery now making one last reach for the stars.
Welcome back to your international weather forecast. Well, across Japan, we are going to see some very heavy rain showers on Friday. As you can see, those rain showers are also bringing some warmer temperatures. We're looking at Tokyo at about 19 degrees. But as we go into Saturday, those rain showers move out into the Pacific. We get clearer skies, but the temperatures do begin to drop. You can see Tokyo about 10. And we are looking at Osaka at about 14 degrees, but some very good news in the forecast, especially for China, who has been seeing a lot of drought activity over the last couple of decades. This is the worst drought they have seen, but look at this. We are looking at snow in their forecast as well as rain. We're looking at about 60 millimeters, a little bit closer to the coast, but up to 300 millimeters of snow is going to be falling as we go inland. So that's going to be very, very good for the farmers over the next couple of days and into the next couple of weeks, because they have finally some precipitation to melt. Down towards southern parts of China, we are looking at very cloudy conditions. Unfortunately, that's not going to change over the next couple of days. Temperatures stay about the same. Hong Kong at 23, Hanoi about 22. And for the next week, it's really going to stay pretty much mild, dry, and we are going to be seeing cloudy conditions there. Down towards Australia, we are looking at some very messy conditions up here to the north. Possibly a cyclone is going to be forming. We'll be keeping you informed on that. Down to the south, though, very warm temperatures.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
From local traders to international finance, it's commerce that makes the world go round. For global companies and developing markets, communication is the currency, and information is the most valuable commodity. Counting the cost at this time on Al Jazeera.
Blaming bin Laden, the Libyan leader says Al-Qaeda is fueling the uprising against him. This as the country appears to be slipping from his grasp, but protesters claim to be in control of the east, despite the continued deadly crackdown. I'm Darine Abu Gaida in Doha. This is Al Jazeera. In the next half an hour, we'll bring you all the latest from Libya as Colonel Gaddafi's inner circle shrinks again. More diplomats resign and a former close aide claims the Libyan leader has chemical weapons and is prepared to use them. Meanwhile, tribal chiefs and military deserters meet to forge a new future. In other news, the WikiLeaks founder says he'll appeal a British ruling to send him to Sweden to face questioning over sex crime allegations. And in New Zealand, hopes of finding more earthquake survivors begin to fade. Libya's embattled leader, Muammar Gaddafi, has blamed Al-Qaeda for causing trouble in his country. In his second address to the nation since the uprising began, he continued to sound defiant, but he spoke via telephone rather in vision. But the man who has ruled Libya for more than 40 years is quickly losing control of his country. Let's just bring you up to speed with what's happening in Libya. And there's been heavy fighting in the town of Zawiya, that's just 50 kilometers west of the capital, Tripoli, between opposition forces and those loyal to Gaddafi. A local newspaper says at least 100 people have died and dozens more injured. But further to the west, police and soldiers have reportedly deserted the Libyan leader in the town of Zuwara. The opposition there is now in control, and hundreds have died in the unrest so far. But France's top human rights official says that the death toll could be as high as 2,000 people. All this as Libya's foreign ministry denies that Gaddafi and his family have any assets in Switzerland. Authorities there have said they'll freeze whatever assets that Gaddafi and his family may have in the country. Our correspondent in Libya's east has been looking at how the opposition there is trying to forge a new future. But first, let's just see this report from Lawrence Lee.
The latest town to experience heavy fighting isn't very far from Tripoli. And that perhaps explains why protesters from Zawiya have told Al Jazeera that the army came to the town and opened fire on them with heavy artillery, their hunting rifles no match. Witnesses said at least 100 were killed, and they expected the army